What is going on, guys? Bengal again here, coming back at you with another video. This is going to be my predictions for the 2020 NFL season as far as the awards go. So that's MVP, Comeback Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, and then Rookie of the Year for both sides of the ball, offense and defense. Should be a lot of fun. Keep in mind, this is just my predictions. It is not who I want to win or anything else like that. It is exactly what I think is going to happen. Will I mention what I think should happen at some point? Yeah, I'll get involved that way, but this is what I think will happen for the 2020-2021 season for the NFL Honors, NFL Awards. Hit that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already for more NFL videos all the time, and let's hop into it. So the first one we're going to talk about is Comeback Player of the Year. I think there are a few guys that kind of fit into this category, guys that were either severely injured or retired and came back in some instances. I think some of the big candidates for this would be Rob Gronkowski, who came back, had a pretty good year with the Bucs, and is a good reason why they're in the playoffs and the Super Bowl right now, especially. Of course, like, there are other factors, but he's had a very good year coming back from being retired. I think that Big Ben plays into this, missed a lot of time last year, came back this year, and was decent enough in the Steelers system. Revolved around a lot of short passes. I don't think he did anything exceptionally well, but individually he was decent enough, put up some really good numbers with the Steelers, and they had a 12-0 record to start the year, something like that. So I think Big Ben's in the mix as well. However, I think it ultimately ends up going to Alex Smith. He has such a great story of so many leg surgeries and nearly having to amputate the leg. They said he would never walk again, never play again, all these different things you hear about. And then Alex Smith comes back and plays fairly well with the Washington football team this year. Almost slipped up there. 5-1 record, and they were a very good team under Alex Smith. Quarterback record I find to be largely irrelevant, but their defense was really solid. It was the offense that was holding them back. And when they had other quarterbacks in, like Dwayne Haskins, who was terrible, and different guys in there that got opportunities, they just simply were not even close to as good and didn't do close to what Alex Smith provided as a starter. He had a decent season, 1,500 plus yards, 6 touchdowns, did throw 8 interceptions, but I think you're looking about just the story of him fighting back through so much adversity, and I think quarterback record will play into account here, despite like me not personally thinking these numbers are all that great. I think the story there is phenomenal. The fact that he even played at all, I think Alex Smith wins via story by a mile. Next up is Coach of the Year. This one's a really tough one because you had so many great coaching performances this year. I think Brian Flores was incredible last year, and the fact that the Dolphins even played better this year, almost made the playoffs, he should definitely get considered for it, but they didn't make the playoffs. They choked when they needed to win games, and they couldn't finish in some instances, and it forced them out of the playoffs with 9 wins. And they had a very, very solid season. I think Brian Flores is a great coach. I think Sean McDermott should be in there as well. The Bills made it so far. AFC Championship team. I think Sean McDermott is a great coach. He was awesome. I mean, you have to consider Andy Reid every single year. The Chiefs just dominate, although their roster is pretty good at this point. But, I mean, the Chiefs were the best team in the league from start to finish this entire year. Regardless of what happens in the Super Bowl, the best team this year was the Chiefs. One game is one game. The Super Bowl should be fun. Let me know if you want to see me do a video talking about the Super Bowl. I think I will do one, but hit that subscribe button if you want to see what I have to say. If you don't care, it's understandable. You know, not everyone's going to. But the Coach of the Year for me is Kevin Stefanski. He did such a great job. I think it's really showing a ton from what the Browns did 2 years ago under Freddie Kitchens. They were terrible. They were a disjointed mess. And Kevin Stefanski brought that unit together and was able to make the Browns a very, very competitive team this year. If you see their schedule and their record, they went 11-5. Really, really good from the Browns. Their expected win was around 7 to 8 wins this year. And, of course, they did better than that. They beat the Steelers, who I don't think anyone expected to win. I mean, except for Browns fans and, you know, various other people could have thought the Browns were going to win that. But the Steelers were heavily favored. The Browns were missing starters, missing players. With all this COVID stuff going on, the Browns were missing starters consistently the entire year, and big ones as well, against the Jets especially. I think the Browns just this year were awesome, and I think a lot of that has to do with Kevin Stefanski and how well he was able to bring this unit of players together and lead them to success. Of course, they would be eliminated later in the playoffs to the Chiefs, but it was a close game. 22-17, it came down to Chad Henne throwing a pass on 4th and 1, 4th and short to get the first down and take the Browns out of the playoffs. So hats off to Andy Reid. But Kevin Stefanski, I think, did what no one thought was possible with this Browns team. They won 11 games after having maybe 11 combined wins over the past 3 years, something in that neighborhood, and were able to not only make the playoffs, but win a playoff game that no one expected them to win. So I got to give Coach of the Year to Kevin Stefanski. Next up is Offensive Rookie of the Year, and this is the first one that gets really, really difficult to decide because it comes down to the two Justins, Justin Jefferson versus Justin Herbert. And what do you value more? An all-pro caliber season from a rookie, or playing the toughest position in the game, breaking rookie records? I don't know. It's tough. Justin Jefferson broke rookie records as well. Justin Jefferson in 14 starts, didn't play too much in the first couple games if I recall. Yeah, not too much, but had 88 catches for 1,400 yards and 7 touchdowns. Catch percentage was above 70. It's very good, converting targets into receptions, and averaged almost 90 yards per game. These are elite numbers. Justin Jefferson was very, very good. Wasn't an all-pro first-team guy, but was a Pro Bowler as a rookie, even though that's a popularity contest. You can take that into account if you'd like. Justin Jefferson was amazing, but I do have to give it to Justin Herbert. He's playing the toughest position in the game at quarterback. It's a super tough transition for rookies to come into the league and immediately be awesome. I think we've been spoiled with these young quarterbacks playing great of late. And Herbert came in as a rookie, broke the record for passing touchdowns by a rookie in a season. And yeah, I think he was fairly limited by the offense. It was a lot of short plays and then taking design shots. As you can see, only 7.3 yards per attempt. He was on a leash, but he was successful in that system, threw for over 4,300 yards, just about 100 yards shy of Andrew Luck's rookie record for passing yards into season. I think when you play as well as Justin Herbert was able to play for the Chargers this past season, he has to be the Offensive Rookie of the Year. I hate for nearly every award to kind of go towards being a quarterback award. I tweeted about this, and I said, hey, do you guys think that these awards should be quarterback awards? It gets kind of boring for sure, but it's the toughest position to play. And when you see guys do it at a high level, should MVP always be a quarterback? Well, is the quarterback the most valuable position? Absolutely. Should the Offensive Rookie of the Year always be a quarterback if they play well enough? That's where I don't think so. But I think Herbert was especially good in terms of his statistics. 4,300 yards, 31 TDs. The classic numbers are going to put Herbert as a very, very good player. He was solid this year, and it'll be interesting to see what he does in year 2. Next up is Defensive Rookie of the Year. This one was very tough as well because you saw some great performances from Julian Blackmon for a while, from Antoine Winfield Jr. He was great, and I think when the Bucs lost him in the playoffs, it really showed on the back end, and hopefully he's back for the Super Bowl. I think he will be. He was only questionable for the championship game. He should be back ready to go by Super Bowl week here in about a week and a day or so. Antoine Winfield Jr. was awesome. Patrick Queen racked up a lot of these classic numbers. Jeremy Chin was really good. He had 2 touchdowns on back-to-back plays or something ridiculous, and overall was great as this hybrid linebacker / safety on that Panthers defense. One of their bright spots for sure, but I got to give it to Chase Young, man. Watching him play was scary. As a Giants fan, knowing I'll probably have to watch my team face Chase Young twice a year at least for the next maybe 10 years plus, it's a scary thought. It really is. Chase Young came in and wasn't exactly dominant at first, but I think he worked up to it. Chase Young showcased that he was absolutely the best player in the class, which isn't an overwhelming surprise, but Chase Young was unbelievable. The numbers aren't crazy, but they're very good. 7.5 sacks, 4 forced fumbles. He only got better as the year went on. I would say Justin Jefferson had his stretches where he looked amazing. Herbert had some really great flash plays. But maybe apart from Justin Jefferson, I think Chase Young is the only player in this class that at one point in the year, you go, oh, that guy's the best player on the field. And for a rookie to come in and do that, I think is just unreal. He was so good. His advanced numbers were quite good as well. He had 10 tackles for loss in 15 starts, 12 quarterback hits. You see his approximate value is also quite high as well, 13. I think that ties what Herbert did on the Pro Football Reference approximate value, where they game plan to assign a number to every season that they've charted ever. So Herbert had 13. I think Justin Jefferson was at 12. Chase Young was fantastic. Recovered 3 fumbles as well. Scored a touchdown if you care about that. And then as far as his pressures goes, had 24, which is fairly solid, more than 1 a game over his 15 games. He was really, really good. And I think the eye test for me gives you Chase Young as the defensive rookie of the year. He was just the best defensive rookie. And I think the best rookie overall, even though Justin Jefferson had these crazy numbers, even though Herbert broke rookie passing records, I think Chase Young was the best player. I'm going to catch some heat on that because not only is a defender, but he didn't put up 15 sacks or anything like that. I just think he was a surefire difference maker on an already pretty good defense, and he was just super fun to watch on that side of the ball. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below about that. I think we're going to have some disagreements for sure. Now, Offensive Player of the Year is where things start to get a little bit difficult because a lot of times these go to the MVP. A lot of times they do. And Aaron Rodgers is up for that. Patrick Mahomes is up for that. Tom Brady. Josh Allen was great. It's kind of tough to say, hey, do you want to make everything a quarterback award or don't you? Derrick Henry rushed for over 2,000 yards. And yeah, he had the most attempts in the league. Did average over 5 yards per carry. Derrick Henry was very, very good as a runner this year. No question about it. But do you want to make this a quarterback award if you find those quarterbacks to be the best offensive players in the league over this past year? Or do you want to, show some recognition to a different player who was outstanding this year like Derrick Henry was? And you know what? I do think Derrick Henry wins this. Averaged almost 5.5 yards per carry, 17 touchdowns, over 2,000 yards rushing. He just kept getting fed the ball, and he kept being successful every time he was fed the ball. This is a weird Bose advertisement all over my screen. Shout out to Bose, I guess. But, yeah, was Derrick Henry completely neutralized in the playoffs? Yeah, of course. But that doesn't take away from what he did the rest of 2020. Yeah, I know he led the league in rushing attempts, but he also led the league in yards and touchdowns and yards per game, which I guess are expected. I'm going to be controversial again. I think that the best running back this year was Nick Chubb. Individually, he just missed some games and doesn't have the volume that Derrick Henry had, but more forced missed tackles, more yards after contact, more expected or more yards over expected. That's an advanced analytic. Derrick Henry's great. Don't get me wrong. I just think Chubb is the best back in the league right now. Based off this past season, Christian McCaffrey was really good, but he was injured. Again, I'm going to face flack for that because you're going to say, oh, look at his yards and touchdowns. And he did have a crazy yards per attempt. I do think Derrick Henry wins the award. I don't think it goes to a quarterback. If I had to give it to somebody else, probably Aaron Rodgers, but I think Derrick Henry ends up winning it. Defensive Player of the Year is where things get unbelievably tough. They really do. It gets so tough to decide what you value more. And there are 3 players who I think are definitely deserving of the award. And it's going to come down to a very, very tight race, I would guess. I think the votes could go either way between these 3 players. I think it almost might be about 30% each. Of course, that adds up to 90, but, like 33, 31, 35% between the 3 guys. Something in that range, even though that doesn't add up to 100 either. Not a math guy, but that's not the point. Defensive Player of the Year is such a tight race. Let's talk about the 3 guys involved, in my opinion. Xavier Howard is the first one we're going to talk about. He had 20 pass deflections, led the league, and 10 interceptions, which led the league. Nearly an interception a game. Out of his 16 starts, had 10. More than one every other game. Like, what do you even say about a season like that from a DB? And it's not even just that he racked up interceptions. Because you look at J.C. Jackson, he had a lot of interceptions, but he got burnt on occasion. I don't think he was the best or second best corner in the league because he had a lot of interceptions. But Xavier Howard was also locked down as a DB. He's been grabby in the past. He's gotten burnt in the past, even when he had 7 interceptions in 2018. good season, but he got burnt a little bit more often. This year, really didn't happen at all. His allowed completion percentage was super low. His passer rating allowed was at the bottom of the league. I think it would have been better served to throw the ball into the ground than targeting Xavier Howard based on his passer rating allowed. He was just on another level. And 10 interceptions is incredible. I think he's definitely deserving of this. I also think TJ Watt is certainly deserving. 18 approximate value. I think Xavier Howard is at 17. 15 sacks for TJ Watt, 2 forced fumbles, had 43 tackles, was all over the field. Led the league in sacks and tackles for loss with 23, 15 sacks. Awesome. 41 quarterback hits we talked about. And then when you look at pressures, had 61. Just a crazy season from TJ Watt, who's, trying to put up a resume against his brother JJ Watt, who is clearly the best defensive player in the league for at least 2 or 3 seasons. And TJ Watt is certainly trending towards that way as well. Another guy who's definitely deserving. And then Aaron Donald, 22 approximate value is ridiculous, by the way. 13.5 sacks, 27 solo tackles, 14 forced fumbles, led the league in approximate value according to Pro Football Reference. He had crazy numbers, 28 quarterbacks hit, 14 tackles for loss, and of course he had those 13.5 sacks as well. Aaron Donald was just unbelievable again. Also, lit up the playoffs. He was really, really good. Had 2 tackles for loss against Seattle, couple sacks in that game as well. Aaron Donald is just, in my opinion, the best defensive player in football. But how do you value his season against TJ Watt or against Xavier Howard? And the way I will rationalize it is he's at the toughest position to put up numbers at defensive tackle. And he is the most dominant player in the league, in my opinion, on any side of the ball. He gets double teamed more than anybody else. Above 70%, he gets double teamed. And is still unbelievably successful at getting to the quarterback, at blowing up runs. I do not think there's a better defensive player in football than Aaron Donald. I think TJ Watt was incredible. I think Xavier Howard was incredible. I think Aaron Donald is the best defensive player in the league. This one's a toss-up to me. I think it could go either way. All 3 different guys are very, very deserving, but this is where I take the opinion part into account, and I say, hey, I think Aaron Donald is the best player in the league, at least on the defensive side of the ball. I think he's deserving of the award, and I'm going to go with him. And finally, the big one, the one that we all care about, MVP. This one was tough. I feel like it was Mahomes for a long part of the year. I feel like Derrick Henry is definitely worthy of consideration for it. Josh Allen was great. I think what Tom Brady did this past year was super underrated. This is a guy who was playing in a scheme in New England his entire career that was designed on taking what the defense gives you, being accurate, not necessarily stretching the field on a consistent basis, a lot of play action, and working these different, short design plays, targeting the slot receiver a lot, targeting the tight end a lot. And then Tom Brady goes to a completely different system this year in Tampa Bay. It's not designed around the tight end at all. It isn't really designed about going to the running back, these short passes that you're familiar with seeing him complete in New England. He goes to a team and an offensive scheme under Bruce Arians that's designed around stretching the field and pushing the ball down the field. And this is precision, timing, accuracy with the football. And you need velocity for that. You need to be able to throw the ball down the field with accuracy and with timing. And Tom Brady did that at a super high level this year. Brady was exceptional. And if you want to say, hey, would the Bucs be even close to the Super Bowl without Tom Brady? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's a pretty similar lineup, similar roster, 53-man, to what they had a year ago under Jameis Winston. This was not a good team at all. You put Tom Brady in there, oh, the Bucs are in the Super Bowl. Surprise, surprise. When I did my predictions, I don't know how I bet against the Bucs. I think I had them losing to, not sure, maybe I had them losing to the Seahawks, which I think is a worse matchup for Tampa Bay than the game they eventually ended up beating, or they beat the Packers. Rams beat the Seahawks. Anyway, Tom Brady was just exceptional this year, and he was certainly, I don't want to say the most valuable player in the league, but he took a Bucs team that was nowhere close to the Super Bowl last year, and now they're in the Super Bowl. I don't know. Tom Brady was incredible. Josh Allen. I mean, who could have predicted this? As a rookie, terrible. Couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. Second year, started to get a little bit more exciting. Fun player to watch, don't get me wrong, but really was not accurate at all. Completion percentage was low, which I don't really care about because he had a lot of drops, but his completion percentage above expected was also near the bottom of the league. So that, accounts for drops, that accounts for accuracy. Josh Allen was not accurate last year. And then in 2020, switch flipped. Brian Dable, credit to him, Sean McDermott as well as a head coach. I think Josh Allen's mechanics were completely revamped over the past couple years. And guess what? Josh Allen is not only making these plays that he made a year ago where he's super exciting as a runner, scoring a lot of rushing touchdowns, improvising, stretching the play, but Josh Allen also became crazy accurate this year. I think Stephon Diggs adding a lot to the team helped. Stephon Diggs joining was a huge boost, but that doesn't explain the accuracy jump for Josh Allen overall. You still do see some misses from time to time, but it's a totally different player. Josh Allen was amazing this year. Hats off to him. Definitely a great season. Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs back in the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league, in my opinion. I don't really know how you argue with that. He is just fantastic. Patrick Mahomes is unbelievable. Now, he does have a lot of great weapons around him. Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. There are a lot of good players in Kansas City. And Patrick Mahomes, by his standard, I guess, from what we've seen, did not live up to it this year, and he was still amazing. Top 3, top 4 quarterback in the league, without question this past season. But did have a lot of dropped interceptions. And you could say, oh, they're not interceptions. Why do you care? Well, he still threw an interception, whether it was dropped or not. Like, it wasn't a good throw. And he had more of those than he had in previous years. Still very, very good. Don't get me wrong. Please don't take this the wrong way. But I do not think he was as good as the MVP was this year. And that, to me, is Aaron Rodgers. Packers came within a game of the Super Bowl. Aaron Rodgers was a huge reason why. It's so funny because as a passer, Aaron Rodgers regressed over the past few years. Wasn't to his MVP best quarterback in the league levels that we had been used to seeing. Packers went out, drafted his eventual replacement, and then Aaron Rodgers said, that's funny. Not getting me a weapon again. Outside of Devontae Adams, I know he's there. And Aaron Rodgers went back up to MVP level. He's my MVP. He deserves it. He was great. You want to look at some classic stats, completion percentage, 70%. That's amazing. 4,300 yards. Also had 48 touchdowns. Only 5 interceptions. Over 8 yards per attempt. You want to look at his touchdown to interception ratio? Fantastic. You want to look at his total touchdowns? Fantastic. Completion percentage? Fantastic. Quarterback rating led the league, 84.3. That is the highest mark of his entire career. And I think quarterback rating is a pretty good stat overall. His adjusted yards per attempt, 9.6, led the league. Aaron Rodgers was incredible. Blast from the past. He went from, taking a step back with age to, oh wait, I'm back and I'm better than ever at 37 years old. Aaron Rodgers was just crazy good. Certainly, in my mind, worthy of the MVP. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. But that is going to do it for me in this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
I hit it at the park, bend bones. See me high step to the end zone. My life like a game, Nintendo. Playing with the best, let them know. Get off the track, the train's coming through. Yeah. Promise you get in my way, then you best believe I'ma just run over you. Yeah. Papa turn, taking it back to the house. Defensive joke, I'm laughing so loud. Speed burst.